check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. What's up? Today I'm doing a new paint job on the Bug. I just determined that after a few years of this old cheap paint job I did falling apart, it was time to go ahead and redo it all, since I'm getting fat rear fenders on the back and I have to paint those anyways. That way everything matches. I've got my fender up here. That's already got a coat of paint on it. Then I got my deck lid right here. That's got a coat of paint on it. Looks pretty good. It still needs clear coat, which I'm going to be using 2X clear coat. It's got a hardener built in, so it should be a nice smooth automotive finish, just like from the paint shop. It's what I did my golf cart in. It's what I painted an airplane in before. So I'm going to be repainting this hood right here, but I'm not just going to paint it straight blue. I am going to paint it blue base coat at first, and then on top of that I'm going to be doing a palm frond print in a light gray, or I'm sorry, a light brown. And here's my golf cart with that same type of look. So I just pulled a palm frond from the plant in my backyard on my patio, and then I just misted some transparent Montana black over top of that, and gives it a nice sort of custom coastal vibe. So that's what this thing's gonna get. So I'm gonna film the process of this. Let's go. Alright, so I got a little bit of this. I got the first half sanded, and while I was sanding, my boy Joey, he brought by the fat fenders for this Bug, so I'm taking a break on the hood and I'm moving over to the fat fenders. Big old butt cheeks. But this is cool. You know, you grind through some old paint, you can see the history of this car. So it started out as like a dark blue right above the first layer of primer. Then there was another layer of primer at one point, and then a red, and then another layer of primer, and then flat black, which is the color it was when I bought the car. And then I sanded that down really well, and I went with this like yellowish color. I thought I was gonna go with this like lime green, weird mustard color. It didn't end up looking the way I wanted it to, so I went back over that with this light blue, which I thought was gonna cure like this color, but it was way too light. So I decided to go ahead and lay this color, which is Sail Blue by Rust-Oleum. So this is all Rust-Oleum paint. I didn't do a very good job the first time. I rushed it because I wanted the car done so I could start driving it, and I was painting it in my own garage at my old house. So this is actually out of a can, not a rattle can. I bought a quart can of the Sail Blue, a couple quart cans, and I diluted it with some mineral spirits. I actually used an automotive spray gun for this. And it came out okay. And the problem was I didn't do a very good job at the clear coating, and that's what sort of allowed this paint to bubble and start to deteriorate in the Florida sun. You can see right there. So anyways, now I'm going to be painting it with Sail Blue rattle cans, which is right on the hood here. This is all I'm using. And if you have the right technique while spraying, you can actually get a pretty good paint job out of regular spray paint without seeing streaks. So I'm going to show you how to do it on this big fender here, because I have about enough in this can to do this, and maybe the second fender over there. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll come back to the hood probably in a later episode, or maybe at the end of this one. We'll see. So real quick, I just want to say before I start spraying this is a fiberglass fender which came off of a 71 Super Beetle. It has the taillights molded in, which is really nice. And this is actual original metal housing for the taillight, and it's got a lot bigger slots here for the bumpers to slide through. But for this one, I had to come in with a cutting wheel and cut out this 90-degree here to make way for the bumper brackets. So when I slide my bumpers through, they can bolt into this bracket that's welded to the car over there. But I had to cut this out in order for it to fit, because we had to thicken up this piece of fiberglass here because it was all broken apart, and there's going to be a bolt hole that goes right here, which I'm going to have to drill, but we had to thicken this up, and because of that, now I had to cut this out. So that's it. Anyways, I'm going to spray it now. All right, so what I like to do first is just start with the edges and get a good coat on these edges, and then I'll come in here and probably do this little area, this edge as well. And then once the edge is done, I'm going to start here at the bottom. I'm going to work my way back and forth, side to side, keeping each pass of paint wet so I don't get any streaking. And this paint lays down pretty nice, so I'll just come like this, keeping every pass overlapping all the way to the end. So this is just one coat. That paint goes down really nice and thick on the first pass. I mean, I'm gonna let this dry and then I'll determine if I even need a second coat. This type of paint you typically don't, but I mean, that looks pretty damn good for not even having clear coat on there. Shouldn't have any streaking visible. Since it's basically all wet at the same time, it should dry equally and evenly. If I were to do the bottom half of this and then step away for 10 minutes, that would give this enough time to dry so that when I go and restart where I left off, this is gonna be wet and it's gonna be dry or tacky. So they're gonna dry at different rates, and then you're gonna see a line where maybe this is slightly glossier than this, or this is slightly glossier, and so on. And you'll see those little streaks and imperfections. So you just gotta commit to one panel and do the whole entire thing. And you wanna go in the shortest passes, which would be this way, side to side. If I were to go front to back, this would be a lot harder of a motion to keep going. Right, because by the time I got over here, my paint that I just applied to this end is already going to start to dry. So you're going to have a better chance of seeing those streaks if you go the long way. If you go left to right, this is a much quicker process, and you're going to be able to keep your passes equally wet, which is going to prevent you from having those streaks. So hopefully that makes sense.